I can't believe what's happening with our Commanders. We just made it to the championship game, and Adam Peters isn't slowing down. But here's the craziest part. While some are talking about a rookie that's got everyone flipping out, others are whispering about a possible bomb in the pass rush that could explode any moment. And if that's not enough, the moves we've already made are being recognized nationally as pure genius. Do you think this is coincidence? I'm telling you this. Peters is building something historic here in the DMV. And if you don't subscribe now, you're going to miss every explosive move coming. Let's dive into these headlines. Commanders fans, get ready, because what I'm about to tell you about Trey Amos will completely change your perspective on this draft. Remember when we thought grabbing Jaden Daniels was impossible? Well, Adam Peters worked his magic in the draft, and now we have a cornerback who should have been a first-round pick but fell to us in the second. I'm talking about Trey Amos, the Ole Miss corner who's got everyone talking. I believe we're witnessing the birth of something special here in Washington. This kid had first-round evaluations, but some medical reports about his back caused him to drop to pick 61. And you know what Peters did. He pounced like a shark seeing blood in the water dot, but here's the part that's got me worried. The expectations are sky high. People are comparing this guy to Darryl Green, and I'm telling you honestly, that's not fair to anyone. Do you think a rookie can come in and dominate immediately in the toughest position in the NFL? Let's talk real numbers here. Amos measured 6'1", 185 pounds at the combine, ran a 4.38 in the 40-yard dash, and had a vertical jump of 38 inches. That's Burgundy and Gold, baby. Those stats are elite, but what excites me more is his tape from Ole Miss. Do you know who Amos went up against in the sec? DJ Lagway from Florida, Nico Imaliva from Tennessee, Carson Beck from Georgia. These aren't just any quarterbacks. These are future first-round picks in the NFL, and Amos dominated them consistently all season. But here's what the draft analysts aren't telling you. Amos doesn't just have the physical tools. He has the football IQ you rarely see in rookies. At Ole Miss, he routinely played man coverage without safety help, and his completion percentage against was ridiculously low. And do you know why? Because the guy studies film like a veteran. I'm telling you this, cornerback is where rookies go to die. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, all these vets are going to go straight to the new guy. But here's the difference. We've got Dan Quinn, who knows how to manage defensive backs better than anyone. Remember what Quinn did with the Falcons secondary when they almost won the Super Bowl. Deshaun Watson was playing like an all-pro. Robert Alford was picking off Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Quinn knows how to develop corners. And more importantly, he knows how to protect them while they adapt to the NFL. Now, here's the medical part that has some worried. Reports talk about a back issue that came up during medical evaluations, but my sources tell me it's nothing that will affect his career long term. What do I think? Some teams got scared for no reason, and we took advantage of their paranoia. And why does this excite me so much? Because Peters considered him for the first round. Imagine, a general manager who just reached the championship game is willing to use a first-round pick on a corner, and it turns out he gets him for free in the second. That's Burgundy and Gold, baby. But here's what really gets me excited. Amos is already showing out in OTAs. Reports from Ashbourne say he's covering receivers like he's been in the system for years. Do you know how hard that is? Most rookies come in lost, but Amos is playing with the confidence of a veteran. And do you know who he's practicing against? Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Jahan Dotson. These aren't practice squad players. These are receivers he's going to face in real games. And if he can hang with them in practice, imagine what he can do against the rest of the league. Now, don't get me wrong, there will be growing pains. There will be Sundays where Amos looks lost, where some veteran will give him a lesson. But when I think about everything we've suffered in the secondary for years, having a kid with this potential fall into our hands, you're crazy if you don't see the bright future coming. Remember Josh Norman his best year? what Carlos Rogers could do when he was healthy. I think Amos has the ceiling to be better than both. He has Rogers' speed, Norman's physicality, and the football IQ neither of them could consistently. Show that the question isn't if Amos is going to be good. The question is, when is he going to be great? And with Quinn developing him, I think it's sooner than later. If that surprises you, wait to hear this. And when you thought we were done with surprises, it turns out that national analysts are calling for the Commanders to go after T.J. Watt. Did you hear right? The best pass rusher in the NFL could come to the DMV. Here's the whole situation. And get ready, because it's more complicated than it sounds. Watt wants $40 million a year. The Steelers don't want to give it to him. And we've got Jaden Daniels on a rookie contract for 5 more years. Do you know what this means? We have the perfect financial advantage to make a move like this. But let's talk real numbers here. Watt has had more than 10 sacks in each of the last 5 seasons. In 2021, he had 22.5 sacks and tied the NFL record. Do you know how many pass rushers have done that? Almost none. This isn't just a good player. This is a generational talent that could change everything. I believe this is exactly what we need. After seeing how we lacked pass rush in the championship game, imagine having the same guy who's made life miserable for Lamar Jackson all these years. And do you know what's the craziest part? While Jerry Jones is there counting cents, we could be making the move that takes us to the Super Bowl. But here's the part that's got me really excited. Watt isn't just a pass rusher. The guy can stop the run, cover tight ends, drop into coverage. In Dan Quinn's defensive scheme, that's invaluable. Remember what Vic Beasley did in Atlanta when Quinn maximized him. Now imagine that, but with a player who's 3 times better. And do you know what Bleacher Report tells me? That we are the perfect fit for Watt. Why? Because we have the cap space. We have the need. And we have the window. Jaden Daniels is in year 2 of his rookie contract, which gives us 4 more years to win with him on a cheap deal. Here's what the analysts aren't telling you. Watt is frustrated with Pittsburgh. It's not just about the money. It's about winning. The Steelers have been mediocre for years, while we're coming off an NFC championship appearance. Do you think Watt doesn't notice the trajectory we have? But here comes the million-dollar question. Is Peters willing to give what Pittsburgh is asking for? Because I'm telling you this, if Watt really becomes available, we can't let him go somewhere else. Can you imagine T.J. Watt chasing Dak Prescott twice a year? No way. It would be like having the Hogs from the 80s, but on defense. The pressure we could generate with Watt in our front 7 would be historic. And with Quinn designing the blitzes, you're crazy if you don't see the potential. Let's talk about what we'd have to give up. Pittsburgh probably wants a first-round pick, maybe more. But do you know what? If you're getting a guaranteed Hall of Famer in his prime, that's worth it. How many times in franchise history have we had the chance to get a player like this? Now, I know some will say, Marcus, that's a lot of money, a lot of risk. But here's my point. When was the last time we had the opportunity to get a Defensive Player of the Year candidate? When was the last time we had the salary cap flexibility to make such a move? And do you know what excites me more? Watt is from Wisconsin, but he played college ball at Wisconsin. These Midwest guys understand what it means to play for a franchise with history, with tradition. Washington has that history, and Watt would respect that. Imagine our defensive line with Watt, Jonathan Allen, Darren Payne, and Montez Sweat. Nitrogen monoxide offensive line in the NFL could handle that. Aaron Donald is retiring. Khalil Mack is getting old. But Watt is in his prime and could dominate for 4 more years. And do you know what the cherry on top is? Watt has never won a Super Bowl. The Steelers aren't winning one anytime soon, but we're building something special. Do you think Watt doesn't see that? The only question is, are we going to be aggressive enough to make it happen? Because I guarantee you, if we don't, some other team will. And we'll be sitting here wondering what could have been. But that's nothing compared to what's coming. And here comes the really crazy part. It turns out that the moves we've already made are being recognized as two of the best trades of the entire offseason. CBS Sports put Deebo Samuel at number 9 and Laramie Tunsil at number 2 in the best. Trades of the year. Do you realize what this means? After decades of being the laughingstock of the NFL, now national analysts are saying that Peters is making genius moves. That's Burgundy and Gold, baby. Let's start with Deebo Samuel, because this trade is more complex than people realize. CBS says we got a playmaker on the cheap who can be the perfect complement to Terry McLaurin. And I'm telling you this, Cliff, Kingsbury knows exactly how to use a Swiss Army knife like Samuel. Remember what Kingsbury did with guys like Larry Fitzgerald in Arizona? Now imagine that with Daniels throwing the ball. But here's what most people don't understand. Samuel had a down year in San Francisco not because he lost his abilities, but because their offensive system changed. The 49ers were trying to make Samuel into a traditional wide receiver, but that's not what he is. Samuel is a yards-after-catch monster who thrives on screens, reverses, and creative play calls. And do you know who loves creative play calls? Cliff Kingsbury. The question is, does Samuel still have that juice that made him unstoppable in San Francisco? I believe he does. A change of scenery is sometimes all a player needs to rediscover his fire. And with Daniels, who can extend plays? Like no one else, Samuel will have opportunities he never had with Brock Purdy. But do you know what excites me more about Samuel? His versatility. In San Francisco, they use him as a receiver, a running back, even a wildcat quarterback. With Kingsbury's creativity and Daniels' dual threat abilities, we can create formations that have never been seen before in the NFL. Imagine this. Daniels in the shotgun, Samuel in motion, Terry McLaurin split wide, and Austin Eckler in the backfield. How do you defend that? You can't put a linebacker on Samuel because he's too fast. You can't put a safety on him because he's too physical. And you can't put a corner on him because he can line up anywhere. And do you know what it costs? Practically nothing. Peters got Samuel for what amounts to a bargain compared to what San Francisco originally paid for him. While other teams were overpaying for receivers in free agency, we got a proven playmaker at a discount. But here's the real gem, Laramie Tunsil. CBS put him at number 2 because they know what we know. Our offensive line desperately needed help. Remember the championship game? Daniels was running to save his life every 3 plays. With Tunsil, a 5-time Pro Bowler in his prime at 30, Daniels will have the time he needs for roots to develop. You won't have to scramble every play because the protection is collapsing. But do you know what is really impressive about Tunsil? His consistency. In Houston, he allowed only 3 sacks last season while protecting a quarterback who holds the ball too long. Imagine what he can do protecting Daniels, who has elite pocket awareness and can extend plays naturally. And do you know why this excites me so much? Because while the Cowboys are trying to figure out how to pay Dak Prescott, we're building an offensive line that can protect our future quarterback. While the Eagles are losing key players, we're adding Pro Bowlers. Tunsil brings something we haven't had in decades, elite left tackle play. Remember Chris Samuels? Tunsil has that same level of talent, that same level of consistency. And at 30 years old, he's still got several elite years left. But do you know what impresses me most? The way Peters structured these deals. He didn't mortgage the future. He made smart moves that improve us now while keeping our draft capital mostly intact. That's the mark of a great general manager. I'm telling you this, Peters understood the assignment. He knew we had a window with Daniels on a rookie contract, and he's maximizing every opportunity. These aren't desperate moves. They are calculated moves by a general manager who knows exactly what he's doing. And do you know what this tells me about our future? That we're not just lucky, we're smart. We're not just hoping, we're planning. Peters looked at our roster, identified our needs, and aggressively addressed them. With Samuel and Tunsil, along with what we already have, This offensive unit could be historically good. Can you imagine an offense with Daniels, McLaurin, Samuel, Eckler, and a dominant offensive line? No defense in the NFL can stop that consistently. And do you know what the cherry on top is? Both players are in their prime. Samuel is 29. Tunsil is 30. They're not aging veterans looking for one last payday. They're elite players who can contribute at a high level for years to come. Commanders fans, this is pure history. We have a rookie who could be special, the possibility of landing the best pass rusher in the league, and moves we've already made that have the entire country recognizing our genius. But do you know what? The craziest part of all this is that we're just getting started. Peters has shown he's not afraid to make big moves. He understands our window, and he's committed to winning now. Do you think Peters is done? Do you think Amos can be the next great Commander's corner? And are you ready for T.J. Watt to put on the Burgundy and Gold? Because I guarantee you we'll have more explosive news tomorrow, and you can't miss what's coming. Hit LIK if you think we should go after Watt. Subscribe if you believe these moves are taking us to the Super Bowl. This is our family. This is our community, and together we'll watch as these Commanders make history. You can't afford to miss a single move of this legendary offseason. Remember, hail to the Redskins!